In its inaugural year, the Offshore 2000 series more than just lived up to all its expectations, it exceeded them. And all that in an economic environment where offshore power boating is very much in reverse gear. The popularity of the series rolls on, and with £20,000 series prize money up for grabs, the 16 crews competing in this year's campaign have arrived at Penarth in the Vale of Glamorgan for the second shootout of the year. It follows a dazzling first round in Jersey, where Matt Gardner's trusty tin tub, the aluminium Forgecraft C28, came from a long way back to win. And to complete a heavy metal day all round, Toby Clayson's C53 in his first ever 2000 race scooped second place from under the nose of the champion and hot favourite, Roy Smith, C54. So why was it that close in a sport where 10 minutes between each finisher isn't uncommon? I'll tell you, penalty laps, that's the answer. And by winning here, Gardner and Hobden will carry a maximum of those next time out. So this is how it is. Smith and Hodges, along with Archer and Bowler, the other favourites, with a little bit to do. And joining them in the maximum penalty stakes this time around, the winners last time around.
What's your situation here with penalty laps?
We've got 7 penalties to do because we won at Jersey. We're going to be slower in today because of the weather. Not going to be really our day.
We had a hydraulic pipe burst, which means we had no power trim, no speed, and the boat doesn't handle at all. It runs along on the left side, so it was impossible to go full speed.
So you did manage to actually gain some points, and
yeah, we managed to finish 12th, which gives us 126 points, I believe, which could make the difference at the end of the season.
So let's get straight on with the action. This is the lineup. Quite a variety of boat manufacturers, but predominantly only one engine. Most opting for the Mercury XR2 outboard for their chosen powerhouse. And completing the second round entry, Smith and Archer and second place Clayson catch the eye, but also watch out for the girl driver Sarah Donoghue, number 69, fourth in the first round. So out on the rolling lap, the pace boat leads the 16 crews towards the start, and on that start boat with the start flag, Ken Thorne of Class 1 offshore fame, who's done so much to make the event happen here. On board with Peter Little and David Arthur, and an indication that conditions will indeed be quite flat. The course, as always, will be multi-lap to test the navigator, and equipped with a 0.56 of a mile penalty lap to test the quicker boats. I'll explain later. So here we go then, past the pier and into 12 assorted laps, approximately 49.81 nautical miles, or if you've accumulated the maximum 7 penalty laps, it will be 53.73. Out towards Mark 1, it's Archer far side leading from Little and Hill there in the centre, and Smith going wide around the outside, he's 4th. Back on board with Little and Arthur, just a little bit quicker than last time we were with them, heading up towards 70 miles an hour. Second place with Archer there, just ahead on the right. And that's a marvellous start for Archer and his navigator Colin Bowler. The 23-foot manifold hull, new this year, immaculately turned out and very quick. This is for second, and the hot contest off the start line between Peter Little, red 27, Roy Smith, white 54, is a scorching pace. Ground speed now just on 80 miles an hour. And coming into Mark 2, closing up on Archer. Matt Gardner, winner last time out, on board with him. Predicted a bad day for his rough water boat. This is 5th. And coming down the straight now at the end of the first short lap, Archer on the wide approach to the mark, allowing Little and Smith to catch up. Cutting back across now. But that's the result. Smith has cut up the inside of Little. The lead is slashed to around 20 metres. Little beaten for speed on that occasion, just drifting it slightly right. An inside cut on Smith, I would say, is a consideration. It is indeed, and superbly executed, almost throwing the boat at the mark to regain second place. Archer then lead now down to 30 or so metres. And Peter Little has one of those heart-stopping moments there. Archer at the pier ends the lap in front. Smith on his right is almost under the pier. And there he is, flat out at close on 85 miles an hour. Little has no answer. Archer also fails to find one, and Smith leads. Well, in offshore terms, that was quite something. Archer around the mark, and here comes Peter Little with another of those priceless tight turns. Second place will be the reward once again. So Archer, in the space of 200 metres, has gone from first to third. And back at the approach to the pier, Chris Bryan and Alan Wheel, number 12, play for 11th place with number 28, Charles Gardner and Simon Hobden. Number 9, the brothers, Ricky and Robert Hill. They're better, it's fourth for them, 100 metres behind Archer. Home territory for the crew. They were 10th in round 1. We're back with Archer playing catch-up after that extraordinary burst from Smith, who still seesaws in and out of the lead with Peter Little. Little on the inside, and that on the predominantly left-handed course with his shorter boat should mean he's got the advantage. Tough target now for Archer as they make the turn, coming in at the end of lap 2. Last time Archer led, this time it's Little. Smith once again tries to gain extra momentum from the wider sweep that will take him perilously close to the pier. Out of sight on the left as Little and Arthur complete a very good lap indeed. Not only has it produced the lead, it's also proved theirs is the better boat on the tight circuit. And this time Smith fails to repeat his ambush on the previous lap, and that might just be one of the key moments of this race. Little and Arthur this time opting to take a penalty lap. David Arthur there checking to see if Smith and Archer do likewise. And the answer is yes. The penalty lap, let me explain, as I said earlier, is designed to even things up a little by placing one extra buoy. 0.56 of 1 nautical mile is added to the course. And your position in the previous rounds determines how many of these extra bits you have to endure, up to a maximum of 8. Now then, 4 extra miles may not sound a great deal, but even averaging 70 miles an hour, in real terms, it's in excess of 3 minutes added to your journey. As the boys will tell you, that is relevant. And it means here, although Smith and Little are still trying to settle their differences, the rest will have caught up. And this is a very good contest indeed out front. Smith, it would seem, determined to underline my previous theory that Little had the better boat for the track. Matt Gardner, meanwhile, still suffers from 5th. That was 7th. He really didn't think it was his day, and it's not. Toby Clayson, 53, also in trouble, dropped to 10th, now clawing his way back to 8th. And there behind Clayson, Sarah Donahue, 69, 4th in Heat 1, dropped 1 place, taking a penalty lap. Now's got that back, and I suspect will close down on Clayson and Gardner in search of at least the top 6. End of lap, and talking of psychological blows, Smith and Hodges opening up a 30 or 40 metre gap over Little and Arthur. That's a priceless performance at not quite the halfway point. There's still Archer to consider in 3rd, and quite a remarkable drive from Charles Gardner, number 28. He's just coming into the picture now with his co-driver Simon Hobden. He's up to 4th. No penalty laps for them. It could be their day. Ahead of local favourites, Ricky Hill, number 9. Welcome back to Penarth, offshore 2000, round 2. Spoils still equally shared at the front by Smith and Hodges, far side. Little and Arthur, near side. Archer still hangs on in 3rd, having just lapped Chris Bryan. There he is, and having a little moment of his own. He gets out of it no problem. Peter Little, you saw in the previous shot, almost doing the same, and that's just part of racing on a surface that changes every few metres, where no 2 laps are ever the same, and the risk of injury is 7% every time you get in your boat and race. And this is Matt Gardner, and it's a Matt Gardner in some trouble. Slowing to a crawl. The first heat winner stays in his seat. And that usually means it's terminal. I wonder what that would do to the leaderboard. Well, Little and Arthur won't mind a bit about that. They suffered similarly in Jersey and will find the added levelling of the playing field very much to their liking. And it's getting better. There are reports of Smith stopped on the course out of camera range, and Archer has capitalised. A thumping run here is rewarded with second. Charles Gardner is into a potential podium place. He moves up to third. Marvellous stuff here in Cardiff Bay. And it's getting better by the minute. Archer right back on target, finding little comparatively easy prey. And with 2 laps remaining, might yet hit the bull. Nick Archer and his navigator Colin Bowler have grown up with this sort of infight. Graduated from offshore circuit racing last year, where they campaigned many seasons in the top 6. Well, they might have hoped for something a little more sedate in this company, but the way Mark Pascoe has designed the course and the rules, it's anything but. And they're out in front now by a good 30 or so metres, but they'll need all of those. It's a tight Mark 10 coming up. Little, remember, likes this one. He's all lined up again for the cuts. And here he goes. And it's another quality strike right up onto the transom of Archer. And now on the inside with another heavily angled left-hander coming up. Great racing. And that is almost 87 miles an hour. Charles Gardner, having grafted his way to third, hangs on, but only just. Ricky Hill will be disappointed if he misses out on the podium. He's piling on the pressure. Mark Gibbons and Stefan Barlow there, C17, they're 5th. Clayson is still 6th. That's not too bad the way things are shaping up. So Little and Arthur then with just under 2 laps left to get back in the championship contention. Oh, but look at this. Archer has gone straight on at the chicane. Now that means he's got 1 penalty lap left to negotiate. And Little has been donated a breather. And it has to be odds on. They'll now strike gold. There's Smith, 54. He's rolling again. Check the position. It's 5th ahead of Gibbons. Up from 9th, that is, after his stoppage. And about to lap Chris Bryan and Alan Wheel, number 12. It's been up and down for them. They were 8th, 11th. This is now 9th. John Hampton, number 40 in the Frode. Shelley Jory, navigator, 8th place for them. Just behind, 69, Sarah Donoghue. Well, she's had better days. In spite of the experienced Dave Sperling as co-driver, 7th is as good as it's been today. Little into the last lap. Archer in hot pursuit, and in spite of the penalty, damage limitation has been effective. Around 100 metres only has been lost, so there might still be a chance. Certainly Peter Little will have learnt you write Archer off at your peril. Right foot will need to remain firmly to the floor for the next 3 miles or so. Well, Smith still in hot pursuit of Hill has reduced that gap by 200 or 300 metres. About the same remains. And Archer, I think, has thrown in the towel. Well, maybe sensibly so. Second will take him top of the league, so maybe no point in risking the machinery on lost causes. And Little and Arthur, after their misfortunes in Jersey, will win here, still up in amongst the back markers, but when all the points are totted up, they will still be some way behind into the final turn. They know it's been a war of attrition throughout. First with Smith, then Archer for 3 laps. Smith on his own again before that final flurry from Archer ruffled another feather or 2. But they've ridden the storm quite magnificently, and they will win the 2nd round of the Offshore 2000. And in the end, it's quite comfortably. There's Archer, he comes in, 2nd place, goes top of the pile, and Charles Gardner's 3rd will be considered, I'm sure, by many as the day's best performance. So here we are then after round 2. It could have been worse for both Clayson and Smith. Matt Gardner takes a tumble, Archer rules, but little looms large.
How was it out there?
It was good. It was very fast, quite tricky, but really enjoyed it. It was a very good course.
I saw you guys were battling with Roy and Scott out there. What happened?
We were running virtually side by side out the back, and Roy seemed to, he came off the plane and stopped. I don't know, he obviously had some problem, maybe it was a kill switch or some minor problem which they fixed and seemed to get going again.
After having the engine stripped last week at Jersey, we've rushed to get back together for this race, and I don't think we've had enough time to put into it and get it right. The engine was running reasonable, but not how I like it to run. And with it being flat, I just didn't want to risk blowing under the motor, so I pulled it in.
Well, Charles, last time we saw you, we were getting in an ambulance. This time it's third on the podium. You consider that to be on the way up, I guess?
I think so, yes. Very pleased with it. Yeah, it's good.
Talk to me about the race today.
Well, it's only my second race, so really it was a case of we just wanted to get round safely and do our best. And as we got into the race, I got more the hang of it and kept it foot to the floor as much as we could, and really was very pleased with it. Had a few problems on a few of the turns, but we're getting the hang of those slowly.
How did it compare with Jersey?
It was much harder for me navigating because it seems that the concentration level was far higher. It seemed that the turns was closer together, and more of them, it just seemed a lot harder. Although the sea conditions was obviously not as hard in Jersey, it was an easier race for me. The concentration wasn't so high as it was today. That's what I noticed.
The conditions a little flatter, I guess.
Oh, certainly flatter. Jersey, to be honest, in Jersey I didn't notice the rough water. I was just concentrating so hard, but this was harder to do in that respect mentally. Jersey was more of a physical race.
And that's where we leave the new marina at Cardiff amidst much celebration. Bournemouth is the next tour stop. That's in 2 weeks.